At the church picnic, Bob and I were sitting down with Brent Marie, and they were telling us how they met, and I thought, that would make such a fun story to tell the congregation. So I thought, well, let me round up some other couples who have a really fun how we met story and talk about marriage. Because marriage is like part of your grand adventure of life. Bob and I have been married 51 years. To our credit, we haven't killed each other, although, you know, Cindy Jacobs always said we could kill them and just tell God they died. But we haven't done that yet. We're still here. And we have a lot of fun stories. We arm wrestle a lot, yes. It's verbal. So just 2 announcements. This Sunday is water baptism, and then the beach baptism is the next Saturday. So you can get in the tank or down at the beach, depending on how far you want to go. It'll be good. So here's what we're going to do with our couples. They each have 10 minutes to share. We're going to start with Brent Marie and move that way. And so just in case you get nervous, like they're going on and on and on and on and on, because they all went 10 minutes, like it was way long. But once you get going, right, Mary? It goes like by that, like that. So they'll get a 2-minute warning, and then if they're still talking, they get a 1-minute warning, and then Bob goes up and hauls them down. So that's the threat. So are you guys ready? Oh, look, you guys look like a Family Feud or something. It looks so cute. Okay, so we're going to start over here, Brent Marie. Just hold the mic up, talk into it, and have fun.
My name is Brent, and this is my lovely wife, Marie, and she's going to start off.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to start off with our family. So Brent has 3 sons and 2 daughters, and I have 3 sons. And we were going to the same church, Assembly of God, and he was going for about 20 years, and I was going for about 15. And, you know, my sons were in the Royal Rangers and all that stuff. And I went to Wednesday night church, but he didn't go because he was working. So I went to, he was in the youth on Wednesday night. So anyway, he would go on Saturday night to church, and I would go on Sundays before I went to work. And we never met. All this time until finally, after 5 years working at Kaiser, I got weekends off. So I said, well, what can I do, you know? And my sister didn't want to do anything because she was a breeder for dogs, and so she had to sell the dogs. So finally, she felt sorry for me, I guess, and she said, we'll go to the picnic. So we went to the picnic, and that's when I saw Brent, my first weekend off in 5 years. And
The way I ended up going to the picnic at the church, it was the Assembly of God Church in San Jacinto, and I didn't want to cook that Sunday, and I asked my daughter, do you want to go to the picnic where we can eat? So that was the only reason we went. So we went and started eating, and just eating, and we were just talking, and all of a sudden I looked up, then here she comes, and I said, I got to talk to her before someone else starts talking to her. So I said, what can I say to her? So I started talking to her and asking her different questions. One of the questions I asked her, are you a good cook? And then we started talking, and I didn't get her phone number or nothing. Then the next Sunday, we went to church, and I seen her, and I said, I'm going to ask her for her phone number. And then I was doing altar call, and church was over, and then I was praying with someone, and I seen her sitting there, and I said, ooh, she's waiting for me. So I said, I need to hurry up and pray. So I was doing a fast prayer for this guy. I don't know what it was for, but I wasn't paying no attention to him. I was just paying attention to her. So when I was finished, I walked over and started talking to her, and then got her phone number. And then the next Sunday, right? The next Sunday we went out to dinner, and it was late. But when we went, what was the name of the place? Los Vaqueros. And we went all the way over there, and I forgot my wallet. And I said, oh, no. Then I said, I'll be right back. And it's about, I lived by at that time by the high school, San Jacinto High School. So I was rushing there and rushing back, and they were getting ready to close, but they stayed open for us. So, yeah, we did stay a long time, and they were closing up, cleaning up the place. So, how we met. Yep.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we did. Oh, what else? My sister is the one that, I'm glad she went with me to the picnic, and, just crazy that we never met all that time, But I think, him raising his 5 kids and me raising mine, maybe it was just too much. So it was perfect timing. And when we got married at my sister's, and they started with me first, the pastor, and I said my vows and all that, and said I do. And then he said, okay, Brent, and Brent says I do. And he goes, well, hang on a minute, let me you have to say your vows first. So that's about it. And it's just, we're a great family, and everybody gets along. 10 years. Coming up on 11 in October. Yeah, so.
Hi, we're Brian and Dianna Marshall, and we've been married 29 years. And Dianna and I met at our 15-year reunion, high school reunion. She went to Hemet schools her whole life. I went just 2 years. So we never knew each other, had a class together at all. So at the 15-year reunion, we had a chat, said hello, and it was being catered by a common friend of ours. And the very next weekend, he was having a party up at his ranch, big barbecue that he had every year. So we both went and met again. It was...
Well, we didn't meet. We just
ran into each other again. So just had a conversation, got to know her a little bit, talked to her friends, and then 5 years go by, and we're both single, both had gone through divorce, 20-year reunion. Neither one of us wanted to go. I was just like, no, this is a bummer. Why do I want to go do this? She had friends that talked her into going, and so we chatted at the 20-year. It was in Palm Springs at the Hilton, and through the course of the night, a common friend that happened to be my divorce attorney introduced us, and he was friends with her too, but again, we didn't go in the same circles. So he said, well, you guys have something in common. Why don't you, so we chatted through the night. And then, let me think about that for a second. Okay, so I think at some point, because it's, that's over 31 years ago, at some point I mentioned to her I still had her business card with her phone number on it, because she had given that to me 5 years prior with the idea that I was going to call her over to measure for drapes and blinds, because she was working, she was a phlebotomist, but she was working part-time for Bill New, making sales. So I never called her because my brother did the same trade out in Huntington Beach, so he wound up coming and doing that for me. So she was kind of surprised, I think, I still had that little business card with her name. Yeah, so we started dating, and here we are, 31 years later. You're going to say that one, yeah.
Okay. So I get to talk about, well, first of all, we dated for a year and a half, so I thought he was never going to marry me. And he did ask, and he did propose on Valentine's Day at DeTillo's restaurant. And he almost got on his knees, of course I said, and they were so busy, it's like, don't you dare get on your knees. I was embarrassed. So anyway, but we did get married. It was 6 months later. We won't talk about the honeymoon. But before we got married, this is a favorite of Pastor Susan's, that she is the one that told us about this. Years ago, before we got married, we had an assistant pastor here in the church. His name was Eric Schultz. He's the one that married us. So when it came time, we had a rehearsal, and I think he was busy on the Friday, and so we were getting married Saturday, and so he called the rehearsal on Thursday night. So we come, and we didn't know, should I say it? We had no clue. We did not know this until years later when Pastor Susan told us that it was Thursday night. Praise and worship team practices. So they had to hold their practice for quite a while so we could do our practice of our rehearsal. Anyway, we learned that a little bit later. What else did we do?
Supposed to tell this one, so it's kind of embarrassing, but we were both busy working. She was a nurse at the time at Hemet Hospital, and I was doing my business. And somehow we both assumed, because we'd both been married for many years prior, that Eric was going to get the marriage certificate or marriage license. So we're like, oh, we thought you were going to get it. And so we thought, okay, we'll go Friday, the next day, and we'll get that secured. Well, the county was closed on that Friday, so we got married without the license, and then had to go fudge it, Monday. So we actually share the same wedding anniversary with you guys on paper, the 4th of August. But yeah, we celebrate on the 29th. So yeah, so that was yeah.
And we won't even discuss our honeymoon.
Well, why not? It was really hot. Well, Eric, okay, we're going to throw Eric under the bus again. So he suggested we go down to Carlsbad to this really great, I forget what it was called, but like some kind of a resort. It was a resort, but it was probably built in the 30s or 40s. I don't think the air conditioner worked too good. So it was fine. I mean, we were still on our honeymoon. She didn't like it. I'm like, okay, I'm happy.
First night, it was
Yeah. So then
not good.
2 nights later, we go to Huntington Beach
No,
to.
first
Okay, here we go.
Then we go to the ocean to go, it was an oceanside, and it had to be the most windiest day ever. I think it was 100 miles per hour winds. Our hair is sticking straight up, and we're like, okay, we got to get out of here. So then we left to go to Huntington Beach.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we're visiting friends in Huntington Beach. They wanted us to spend the night before we went to Disneyland, and Disneyland was so packed, 100-degree weather. Everybody was saying, "Oh, it's never this hot here." So we might as well stayed in Hemet.
It was record-breaking.
Record-breaking, long lines,
most people
way
there
too hot
ever.
to be there. But I've taken her on a few trips to make up for that through the years. Anything else? Came in under time.
I'm clapping because that gives us extra time, right, Pastor Susan? That gives us extra time. Roll over the minutes. We don't have a long story. Maybe a little bit long. No. I think that we probably met at the youngest age than anybody here because we both were 14 years old when we first met. And you want me to say it? Yeah. Okay, so we met at Montgomery Junior High in San Diego. 9th graders. Mr. Garcia had just entered school a little bit late, and my best friend, Janet Garcia, and I would walk the halls, and I'd walk her to her homeroom class. So one day I'm walking by the lockers, and there's this cute kid coming towards me. Cute little blue eyes, curly blonde hair, used to be. Anyway, we locked eyes. And this is for real, 14 years old. And I could not take my eyes off of him. And then we walked by, and I was like, hee hee hee. Few steps forward, I look back, and he's looking back at me. So I just about died because, that was it, my forever crush. And I truly do believe in love at first sight because of it. Because here we are, completely and utterly in love since that first day. So we dated for quite a while. Do you want to take over a little bit? No. Okay. We dated through 9th.
10th, 11th, and senior year. Yeah. And then we broke up.
Yeah. We ended up breaking up, and there's no real reason, right? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
There was no real reason except for that we thought we were too cool for each other. Maybe that. So we went our separate ways.
Yes.
For how long?
At least 20 years. Yeah.
20 years apart. And then, you say, because you're the one that found me.
So then I ran into one of your good friends from high school. I was asking about Anna, and she said, well, why don't you look her up on Facebook and send her a message or something. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So that's what I did. I sent her a message. I was just asking her. I sent her a message and asked her how she was doing. I was like, hi, do you remember me? We dated in high school, and And then I think I got a response that same day. No? A week later? No. Okay, so I got a response. I don't know how long it took, but I got a response back. And then we just started talking, and then we reconnected.
It took me about 2 weeks to get back to him. I was just really nervous, you know. Second, I had been married, and it's hard, right? When you just don't know what commitment's going to be like or what you want to do. But I ended up responding just by hi. And it took us a little while, but we started dating again. So we are a Facebook success story, right? Because we started talking on Facebook for a little while. Maybe
How long did we date?
we dated for 2 years. And then one day we're sitting down having dinner, and I had a really cool thing in my mind that I like when people get married on those cool dates, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And like Pastor Steve mentioned on the video clip, our wedding is on 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so he'll never forget our anniversary.
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
So I made it easy for him. But we decided to get married on 12, 13, 14, on 12, 3, 14. So we had 10 days to plan a wedding. Yeah, and Pastor Steve graciously performed our ceremony, and he did a good job because it stuck.
Great job.
Wedding?
So okay, so Ruth Paps owned a house by Soboba Casino. She had a tennis court, which we used for our venue. And it was during December, so it was a really cold night. And it was raining that month. So the night before it rained.
Destroyed all our decorations.
Decorations got destroyed. It was a mess.
We froze. Yeah, and then so I wanted twinkly lights, right? You know, we set them all up, and it was going to be at twilight. And we put like lights on the fence and candles on the tables. And then Norm goes out there while we're taking pictures before the reception, and he turned on the court lights. It was as bright as the sun. And I'm like, no! I had to yell from the top of the house all the way to the, cut the lights. Yeah, that was fun. But Norman and Ruth were a huge blessing to us during that time. And Ruth still is. Yes. We're very grateful for her. What else? We're the gooey couple, completely codependent upon each other. Ever since the day we've been married, I haven't cooked a day in my life because my husband's a chef. Hence, 30 pounds later. But it's okay. It's okay because we are extremely happy. We are so blessed. We have 3 grown children, and within the last year and a half, we have 5 grandbabies. So we are extremely blessed. Our family has exponentially grown recently, and we are loving every minute of it. And we're in love still. Jenica.
Hello, this.
The best day of your life. Just say hello.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and this is Jenica, and we've been married for 15 years, and okay, here you go.
Give him a hand. That was good. So like Aaron said, we've been married 15 years, and we met through a mutual friend. So remember, those people that are out there remember MySpace, so we go before Facebook. I had met Aaron's friend on MySpace, and he was having a party, and he invited me over, and he was so excited for me to meet his best friend. And it was actually here in Hemet where we met. I came to the party, Aaron came to the party, and Aaron and I just hit it off really well. But we were going on a double date later that night. We went to Arlington Lanes, Aaron and his date, and myself and my date, with different people, not together. And so, the night progressed, and I was talking to this guy, getting to know him, and I just realized, it wasn't there. I wasn't feeling it. It was like, okay, well, there's not going to go anything further than here. I knew that already. And Aaron's date just kept talking about, different things, how she wasn't happy and certain things. And I'm like, that sucks, or that's sad. And so that's not a bad word. That's right. Oh, yeah, at the bowling alley, he spilt beer on her, and she was so upset. But it was an accident, right? So anyway, we left for the night. Oh, yeah, to the club to go dancing or something. And so the guy went with me in my car, but his phone was dying. Like, he didn't have any more battery charge, so he put it in Aaron's truck to charge. Yeah, he put his phone to charge in Aaron's truck, and so we were driving to the club in Riverside, and he goes, let me call Aaron to get the address or something like that. I don't know, but I said, use my phone to call him. So he dialed Aaron's number, and so, okay, that was that. I was like, okay. So I said, you know what? Here I am, 29 years old, and I said, my mom just called. I got to go home. So we pulled over, and he ended up getting in the truck with Aaron, and we left. I went home, and so the next day I was like, I have this guy's number. We really hit it off. We were taking pictures, selfies together. And so I called him, and I'm like, hey, it's Jenica. Do you remember me? And it just started from there, and we started talking. And, we dated for a year before we got engaged, and then we were engaged 6 months. But throughout this time, I had told him, when I get married, I want the person to propose to me somewhere special, like at Disneyland at the Wishing Well. And so here we are in March, and we're planning a trip to Disneyland, and my brothers are going. I'm oblivious to the fact that a proposal can happen, right? And so my brothers get lost, and Aaron gets lost, and I'm like looking for them. I'm like, where's Aaron? And my youngest brother said, come on, I think he's over here. And he takes me to the Wishing Well. Still don't have a clue. And, we're throwing pennies in the Wishing Well. And he's like, look, they're over there. And I turn around, and there's Aaron on one knee proposing to me. And so he proposed to me, and people are all excited looking and, taking pictures and congratulations. But he was so nervous and I'd never been married, that he put the ring on the wrong finger. And so, yeah, I had no idea. And then after that, we got on It's a Small World. And then I was like, I think the ring goes on this hand. So we switched it. But we ended up getting married, and we didn't have a big wedding. We got married at the courthouse and then had a reception the next day. But that was 15 years ago. Well, we celebrated 15 years at the end of July. So, as every single married person in here knows, marriage is hard. It's hard. But nothing will be wasted because, we have leftovers after we've tried and put in our own part without God, doing it our way. We have a bunch of Susan Beckett. So, we have a bunch of leftovers after we've tried on our own without the Lord in the middle of a marriage, but nothing goes wasted. That is by Stephen Furtick. Leave your leftovers in the hands of the master. right? And he'll turn whatever you have into something good, because everybody's going to struggle. But, you know, coming to church together, getting into ministry, going to marriage retreats, whatever it is that's going to help your marriage grow, invest time in that, because it's worth it. You know, people can say like, oh, if it doesn't work with this one, we'll find the next one. But the next person has flaws just like you do. We're both imperfect people coming together, you know. So I hope that encourages you to want to put the work into your own marriage, because we're all imperfect, and it's best to invest in what you already have.
Okay. So I thought we're going to keep them up there a little bit. Does anybody have a question for any of them? They're like hoping nobody asks. Yeah. Start with you, Jenica, you guys, and we'll go this way. How do you keep your marriage fresh?
How do we keep it fresh? Take a shower more than once a day. I'm just kidding. You know, I know Aaron's been intentional about this and really making an effort to keep going out on dates without the kids. You know, that's important to spend quality time together as a couple.
I was gonna say the same thing. Go on dates, just hang out by ourselves, leave the kids home.
We love our kids, but
How do we keep it fresh?
but we like our time together too. You know? Yeah, we make time for each other.
Long hours. We work long hours.
We do. We work a lot, but we take the time to be there for each other, specifically, you know, specifically him and me.
Keep it fresh. Well, it survives because of God. That's one thing I left out when we had the microphone before. When Diane and I were dating, I already had 3 daughters. She had 4 kids. So it was a big decision for me to say, I'm going to do this and start a family over again. But one of the things while we were dating, she kept asking me, will you go to church with me? Will you go to church with me? And I knew it was important to her. And I said yes. It took a little while. It took a little while. But, I was a big football fan. Sundays there's football. So I stalled for, that first season. And then she came over one night, and she was just aglow. And there had been a service here when we were in the old sanctuary, and she had got born again, but she was on fire with the Holy Ghost. And I'm like, well, this is cool. I knew she knew God. She'd always talk to me about God. And I was 20 years from being in church, was raised Methodist, knew everything that I was supposed to do right and was doing wrong. And that first month of Sundays that Pastor Bob preached, it lit a fire under me, because, it was like he was talking directly to Brian, like all your past mistakes. They were all, it wasn't, it was just something I needed to change my life. So as I got born again, for the first time since 18, but that's what keeps our marriage really strong. It's a large family. We stay busy all the time. It can get crazy sometimes, but we love each other. I love her. She's my trophy wife. So we're 29 years married, 31 together, and here, top that.
I didn't tell him to say that, but thank you. No, real quick, you got to have God in your marriage. From the very beginning, when we got married, we didn't just, he and I got married. God got married with us, and God is the head of our relationship. Then it's my husband, then me, and then the children. But we're all one. We're all one together. So,
To keep it fresh, we try to go on vacations. And for myself, I try to do a lot for her, just little things. And open the car door for her, and just little things. Cook breakfast for her. I don't cook dinner, but cook breakfast for her, and just
He also works out. so that's a good thing. The same, just go on vacation, try to make time for each other. Just try to talk, because it does get busy. We have 9 grandkids too, and it's always a game or a football or gymnastics, And sometimes, you just get busy passing each other, so we try to make time and talk and, every day.
Anybody else have a question? Question, comment? Okay, I have a question. So run the mic back again. I want to know when you guys have conflict, how is the best way you resolve it? Yeah, I tell Bob, we have conflict. And yes. We're both very strong people, willed people. So I always tell him, we're not sharing the brain. We don't share brain. We have different thoughts. And so a lot of times, we still don't come to a same resolution, but we try to meet in the middle somewhere. So we talk it out, right? And so I think last year we were talking about something. Yeah, Bob listens. He said, but anyway, for the first time he said, we're not sharing the brain. I went, oh my gosh, it took 50 years, but he's finally using my saying. But I think it's important you respect each other's opinions because we all have different opinions. So knowing that, how do you guys solve conflict?
Pray. Pray about things before we talk, especially if it, involves one of the kids or something, and so we have to pray first because it's easy to just, give our own opinion.
try to see what the word says, go to what the word says about whatever we're going through. And I like to throw up the word says that husband's the boss.
Anything else?
No.
Well, one thing I've learned after many years of marriage is it never hurts to let her be right. So that's usually what happens. Just and she's very quick to come and apologize when she has wronged me. So
what I do is I wait. I wait until, because I think he should apologize, and I'll sit and wait, and he'll probably sit and wait, and I always see him go outside, so I'm thinking, oh, he's talking to the Holy Spirit, because I know I get convicted if I'm the person that's wrong. Oh my gosh, I will get convicted. And so I'll wait and I'll wait and I'll wait, and pretty soon, and he knows when I'm coming up to him to ask for forgiveness, and he's always been so quick to forgive me. But you really should be quicker too.
a quick kiss and it's over, and then it's forgotten. And that's the main thing, is just let it go. Whatever the conflict was, just forget it and move on.
We don't have conflict.
I know that's hard to believe, but my husband and I are the same person. We share a brain. We do. No, we have a lot of the same opinions and thoughts. So we don't have a lot of conflict, which is amazing, and it's a blessing for both of us. We live in a very harmonious state. However, once in a while, Gordon Ramsay Jr. has a fit about something, right? And that's his nickname, by the way, when it happens. But I just let him be cranky and do his thing, like I wait. But I don't know if I'm waiting in the Holy Spirit. I'm just laughing about it, and I stand there, and then I remind him of what he's doing, and then he realizes how hilarious it is, and we just laugh about it, and we just got to be lighthearted about it, because in the end of the day, you are my best friend, you're my partner. God gave me this amazing gift of a husband, and we stand by each other no matter what. So we are a team, and we're a strong team, and never let them see you sweat. No, I'm kidding. We get along. I mean, I'm sorry I told you. We get along. We love each other. I know you all love each other, but we get along, and we don't really argue or fight because there's nothing to fight about. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to fight about, but we're on the same team, you know, and I think that's how we handle life. We're on the same team. We are doing the battle together. We're in this together. So that's how we see our marriage and the situations that arise.
How do we handle conflict? Well, Aaron, I know I'm always right, and Aaron just has to realize it. I'm like, no.
We bust out the gloves.
How do we handle conflict? Well, that's a hard one, you know. We do argue, we disagree, and Aaron is the type that wants to talk about the problem right then and there. I am not. I need to calm down, cool off, because I'll say something mean. And so I think he's learning now to give me my space, then we'll talk about it, you know, once both of us are cooled down. But that's really what we do. I mean, yeah, I think that's it.
He's always right.
Who drove here tonight?
We do have conflict when I'm cutting a vegetable wrong or doing something in the kitchen that is wrong. That's when Gordon Ramsay comes out, and then I just sit there like, sorry, chef, and run. Okay, that's the conflict.
Okay, is that it? Any other, no comments, no questions? All right. Well, being married is fun. You know, I heard somebody say once, if you can, if like when Bob and I have a disagreement, if he's able to tell me my side and I'm able to tell him his side, I think we're halfway home. It's like, okay, now we both understand each other and we'll meet. So marriage is fun. It's part of the grand adventure of life, so it's worth it. I heard once, Johnny Carson, remember him? He was interviewing Ricardo Montalban from Fantasy Island. And Johnny Carson had been married like, what, 5 times? Wife after wife after wife after wife after wife. And Ricardo once. And so he started going through, Ricardo, how wonderful it was to be married for the same person the whole lifespan. Like when you're young, you know, married. And then you raise children, and then they get married, and then you see grandchildren, all through the stages of life with one person. It's really miraculous, and it's amazing, it's fun. I think you can pick it up at any stage of life, and marriage is just, it's a good experience. We recommend it, right, Bob?
Stand up. We're going to pray. Do what? Thank them. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come tonight. Lord, the food, the fun, the fellowship. But Lord, we do affirm again that you created marriage. It's a divine union, and we thank you for it. In Jesus' name. Everybody said? Adios, amigos. Vaya con Dios.